So moving on from the finance world to the technology space again, we now move to what we all have heard of, but might not understand it completely as a career option. I'm talking about Amazon Web Services, or popularly known as AWS, and how it has taken the world by storm. I would now like to welcome Mr. Rohit Sharma, an official representative from AWS, to talk to us about how do we move our career forward with AWS. Now, just to introduce you, hello, Mr. Rohit Sharma. Thank you so much for joining us today. Uh, yeah, we've just paused the recording for you now, so nothing to worry about. So just to introduce Mr. Sharma, he's a seasoned IT professional with a rare and rich combination of experience in IT infrastructure, modernization and consolidation, workload automation, and next generation innovation using AWS Cloud. He has an extensive 18 plus years of experience, 11 plus AWS certifications, and is presently employed by AWS as GDR technical lead. I mean, it couldn't get better for AWS as a topic right now, right? So thank you so much for joining us, Rohit. You can now start with your session.
Thank you, Mamta. Thanks a lot, folks. Very good afternoon, very good morning, or very good evening, as per according to whatever time zone you are in. And if you are in the same time zone as I am, it's good evening. Let me share my screen first. Can I get a quick confirmation if you can see my screen?
Sure, we can see it. Yes.
Okay, great. I hope you can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. Quick confirmation, does it shows disaster recovery or does it shows the screen that I'm seeing? I can see 3 people on cam and I think 274 participants join. Wow, massive.
That's right. So we see disaster recovery on AWS on the screen right now.
Wonderful. Folks, welcome to the session on AWS disaster recovery. My name is Rohit Sharma. I am a technical lead from AWS training and certification global delivery readiness team of AWS, and I take care of entire APJC, Asia Pacific. I take care of. Uh, in this session, we will talk about AWS disaster recovery options. What are the different AWS disaster recovery options that we have? Uh, it's very, very important to give you an idea that this session is going to be a complete technical session, and people which they have got some understanding of AWS, probably at least the foundational level understanding of AWS services, will be able to understand it. Feel free if you have any questions. I would like to start the session with the question that has been asked by Mamta. What are the career options, or how AWS can help in building the career? How many of you have heard about Gartner? Anyone who has heard about Gartner here in this 272 participants? I think we all know Gartner. Gartner is a third party which talks about uh, how industry is moving, which talks about who's the pioneer in the industry. And when it comes to cloud computing is something which is today and which is future. Anyone who does not know about cloud computing is possibly living in a stone age era, I would rather say. So it's very, very important for us to know cloud computing, because it's not the phase where customers are thinking of migrating to cloud. It's the phase where 90% customers have already migrated to cloud. So it's very, very important that we should be aware of cloud computing, number one. And why I have taken the name Gartner here, because in Gartner survey, right from 2016 till today, AWS is pioneer in the cloud computing. They have got several thousand features, 6,000 plus features, and more than 200 plus services, and all the categories of customers, be it enterprise, be it startup customers, or be it SMBs, small medium business customers. They are getting benefit by using AWS services. They are getting benefit by using AWS features. And all customers, they say that they are able to run their workload successfully and securely in AWS cloud. So definitely when it comes to how AWS cloud can help in career, that's a big question. The current situation is there is a shortage of AWS cloud professionals, and you will find every day people are learning, people are writing AWS certifications, people are learning AWS cloud so that they can meet the demand which is there. So all three categories of customers, small medium business, even startups, and even big enterprise, they are looking for people which are highly skilled, which knows AWS clouds, which can manage AWS cloud. So when it comes to the opportunity, there is a huge opportunity if you are a AWS professional person, if you know AWS and if you are certified in any of the AWS certification. That helps a lot. Hope that answers your question, Mamta. Okay, wonderful.
It
Let's
does. It
start
does.
with let's start with the topic, which is disaster recovery. I'm going to talk about disaster recovery. This is going to be a technical session. It is understood that participants which are attending this session should have basic understanding of AWS services and features. Then only you will be able to understand this. So let me start with disaster recovery of workload on AWS. There's a white paper which was published first of all in 2021, Feb 12 2021. This white paper was published, and this white paper is continuously being updated. I checked it today, recently it was updated in Feb 2022, almost 1 year back, because technology keeps on changing, so you need to keep on adding couple of things. This white paper consists of each and everything which I'm going to talk about here in this session today. So if you feel that the technical talks that I'm doing is a bouncer for you, or is something which is very very difficult for you to understand, feel free. There is a bit.ly link. You can also scan the QR code, download this white paper, and all the PPTs that I'm going to show and all the material that I'm going to use here for this 1 hour session is going to be there with you. So this white paper talks about what are the different disaster recovery options that AWS possesses for their customers. It's very, very important that we should have understanding why to have a DR plan, disaster recovery plan. I'm going to talk about what disaster recovery plan is. People which knows commands, or people which knows which likes black and white world, probably doing a lot of commands, knows this command very well. It's a Linux command which says remove, and that too forcefully, and asterisk everything. Why do you need a DR plan? Maybe accidentally someone ran this command and deleted everything. So you lost everything. And what if those things are business critical? If those things are business critical, there is a chance that business will face a lot of challenges. And if you are doing these mistakes very often, by the way, it's very, very important that you should have your LinkedIn profiles updated, because 1 or 2 times is fine. But if you keep on doing these mistakes again and again, you have to search for new job. Company will not allow you to be there after you have done a disaster for them. So I'm going to take a example of a movie. You might have heard about that movie, Toy Story. Anyone who knows what is Toy Story? Uh, if I remember correctly, this Toy Story, this movie has made more than 14 billion US dollars. And the interesting story about this movie is this movie was deleted right after everything was done. This movie was deleted. The backup was there, but the backup was also corrupt, so they were also not able to restore it from the backup. And they were like, oh, this movie, world will never be able to see this movie after so much of hard work. Someone ran a command. So there is a reason I have come up with this slide. Someone ran a command and it deleted everything. Movie got deleted. There was a backup could not be stored. There was a challenge in restoring the backup. And the technical director, she was hospitalized. She was hospitalized because of an emergency. And the technical director said that I have got a copy of the movie in my personal laptop. Can someone go my home and see if that copy is still there? And that's how they took 1 week of time and they were able to recover this movie. And this movie was able to made 14 million US dollar. I don't know how many of such movies have been deleted so far. So accidents can happen. How many of you have seen the Hindi movie Darna Zaruri Hai? You remember Rajpal Yadav entering Sunil Sethi's house and says, "Sir, why don't you buy the insurance? Accidents can happen at any point of time. Accidents are unpredictable." That was comedy, super comedy thing, and very hilarious. But it's true. Accidents can happen at any point of time. At times, it can be unintentional. Someone running RM minus RF, delete everything, is unintentional. But what you will do now, if it is your business critical data, what you will do? So, my question is, have you done this mistake ever in your life? Let me raise my hand. I have done it. I was in a project where I recorded 365 videos, and those 365 videos were supposed to be streamed to the audience. And one day I was working on my laptop, something happened, everything gone. And I was like, oh my God, several months of what I have done is gone. What should I do now? And I was not aware whether I have a backup of it or whether I don't have a backup of it. Somehow, all the backup was there in S3. There is a service called S3, Simple Storage Service from AWS, which is very much like similar to online storage. So whatever I was storing in my drive, a copy was there in S3 also. I had automation for that. So my last resort was, okay, let me update my LinkedIn profile now. I might have to search a job because AWS is going to kick me for this mistake. This is not done, but it has happened. And when I looked at S3, I was like, okay, now my heartbeats are normal. I'm able to get all 365 videos there. I started making one more copy so that in case if something goes wrong there, I should be able to recover my data. So it happens. It at times mistakes can be basically unplanned, or at times mistakes can happen. So we are going to talk about disaster recovery here in this part. Now, there is a term which is called as resiliency. Resiliency means make sure you have redundancy of everyone. If you are using some technical components, if you are using some servers, if you are using some router switches or any hardware, make sure you have redundancy of everything. Because if you have redundancy of everything, then failure of one component is not going to impact your business going on and running. Your users will still be able to get uninterrupted services. So resiliency is equal to have redundancy in mind. Make sure each and every component is redundant. In simple words, I would say you should never plan your cloud environment in such a way that you have left single point of failure anywhere. Never have single point of failure anywhere. Single point of failure at times can result in big disaster. Your entire business can collapse if you have single point of failure. So start with resiliency in mind. And in resiliency, there are two categories, or basically you can say that resiliency is divided into two parts. Disaster recovery, that's the topic for today, and availability. Availability means your service is available for a longer duration of time. I will not say that high availability is equal to 100% uptime. I have never ever seen that in 18 or 19 years of my experience, that anyone who says this is 100% high availability. High availability means you can have 99.999% of high availability, but still there is a downtime of 5.25 minutes annually associated with it. So high availability, ensure that you have redundancy of every component so that any component fails, your users are still getting services uninterrupted. I have never seen when I use my ICICI bank account that they says, sorry, our website is down. Hey, wait, or they have never shown a dog coming up and says, hey Rohit, now you're going to have a heart attack, you were doing a transaction and sorry, we are not available. There's always a service. So they have ensured high availability for their customers. It's a very, very critical business that they are running. Similarly, there are a couple of other customers, or there are a couple of other businesses which runs on a 2% margin. The 2% of their company is their profit. And in case if their customers are getting an experience where their websites are down or maybe their business is down, it will result in loss of revenue, and probably customer will never visit such kind of e-commerce portal, or maybe a couple of other things. So high availability possesses a target. The target is service should be continuously available to users. That's the target of high availability. So rather than having one server, plan it in such a way that you have multiple server. One fails, second is there, second fails, third is there, third fails, fourth is there. That's what high availability is. Disaster recovery. Disaster recovery is all about restoring the service. If something has happened, if something big has happened, then you should be able to bring your business back to the function. It should not happen. Here there is an earthquake, sorry, gone. Pentagon attack, everyone knows, it's very famous. How many days they have taken in order to recover all the data which they have lost? So disaster recovery means if any such thing happen, which can be either a human created problem, terrorist attack, or which can be a natural disaster, earthquake. 2 3 days before, so basically I'm from New Delhi, and 2 3 days back I saw that there was a small earthquake in Delhi. So it can be a natural disaster also, and these natural disasters at times can bring your data centers down. How you will ensure that in case if you have lost your data, in case if you have lost your servers, in case if you have lost your applications, you will be able to bring all those things back and your business will be up and running. That's what disaster recovery is. So both possesses different aim. High availability, the service should be provided to users in uninterrupted way, and disaster recovery, you should be able to recover in case if there is a disaster. CTO of Amazon, Werner Voglis says that whenever you design your cloud environment and whenever you design running your workload on AWS cloud, make sure you have this statement in mind: everything fails all the time. And if you're designing with this statement in mind, everything fails all the time, you will always remember that you have to have redundancy of everything. No single point of failure in your design. If your single point of failure is there in the design, your design is not an approved one. I don't know how many of you are solution architect, but I get a lot of designs which I see and I scrutinize those designs. And in case if I find that there is a single point of failure anywhere, it's like, sorry, I'm not going to approve this design. There is a design flaw. That's how architects works. So one of the career option that you can have after learning AWS is you can become a solution architect. Mamta, I'll keep on coming back to you and answering your question as and when it is possible. I hope you don't mind for that. So
Not
everything
at all,
fails.
not at all.
So everything fails all the time. That's a statement by Werner Voglis. I thought of adding it here so that you can understand what does that means. When it comes to disaster recovery is about business continuity. Your business should be up, your business should be running, your business should be continuously up and running all the time. There is a possibility that you may want to control some of the events. Those events can be natural disaster. Those events can be there is a technical failure that has happened, a hardware component that has burnt up, or maybe an application failure that has happened, or it can be a human action. I gave you an example of human action. Someone hijacked the plane and then they just used that Pentagon attack, and lot of important data was lost in that. They took few months of time, but they were able to recover everything. Not even a single bit is lost in that attack. So when it comes to you want to manage larger scale things, when it comes to you want to manage less frequent events, natural disaster is less frequent. You are not getting earthquake every day. You are not getting flood every day. It is not so that there is a technical failure that is happening every day. It is not so that human action is creating a problem every day. But when there is a disaster, you should be able to perform the recovery and you should be able to run the operation. Another real life incident I would like to share with you. I was in Chennai and I was delivering a session for a customer there. And next morning when I wake up, they said, "Sir, no breakfast today." I said, "What? No breakfast? What happened?" "You don't know, sir. Chennai is flooded." "Oh, what? Chennai is flooded?" And it was like when I started when I started the TV channels, it was all over in the news. You can't go anywhere. It was big flood. There were a couple of data centers which were shut down. Phones were on, and I was stuck in that condition for 4 days. You cannot move out of your hotel. But those data centers, what they did is they started the disaster recovery sites. They were continuously replicating their data to other locations, and they started those locations because there was a massive power cut. So how long a generator or how long a power backup will sustain in such conditions? 4 days, 5 days? But in case if there is a power failure, what you will do, how you will run your data center? So you have to have a DR plan, disaster recovery plan. If my one of the site is down, I will still be able to perform business continuity. My business will still run by ensuring that the business is running from the DR site, disaster recovery site. So these are some of the things. When it comes to disaster recovery, there are two technical terms which are used a lot. Recovery time. I have already given you an example of recovery time. They took 7 months of time and they were able to recover all the data in the Pentagon attack. That's what RTO is. How much time you need in order to recover your data completely is RTO, recovery time objective. Recovery point. What is recovery point objective? Recovery point objective is what was your backup frequency? Were you taking backup every 30 minutes? Were you taking backup every 1 day? And if you were taking every 1 day of backup, there is a possibility when you will perform the restore, you may lose 1 day of your data. So how much data losses you can bear when you are performing the recovery? That's what RPO is, recovery point objective. So two very, very important points: recovery time objective, recovery point objective. More on this later. High availability. I talked about high availability. High availability is meant for small scale things, more frequent events which are happening. One of my EC2. EC2 is one of the service from AWS. Think of it like you are running a virtual machine on AWS cloud. One of your virtual machine is not working. One of your virtual machine is showing that there is a status check that has failed, because of which your application is not running. Do you think that you should go to a customer and show a dog image? Sorry, our website is down. Wait for some time. No, that's not a good customer experience. Customer will not come to your site ever again. They will say, I have many other e-commerce website. Let me buy from there. What I need is speed. What I need is high availability. So high availability is meant for smaller scale but more frequent events which are happening. And the idea of high availability is, in case if one component has failed, no problem, there are other many components which are continuously providing services to the users. However, if there is a act of God, another Hindi movie, Act of God, I learned this line from there. You know Paresh Rawal, Act of God. So in case if there is act of God, earthquake, entire data center is down, then it's a disaster. Okay, now you need to think of, can I bring the business back from my DR site, a disaster recovery site? So there can be component failure, there can be network issues, there can be sudden spikes. Usually lot of sales are there, 26 January sale going on, and a New Year sale going on, Christmas sale going on, and there is always a yearly sale. People, they have gone mad to buy everything. So in that case, if lot of spike is there, are you able to bear that much of load that has increased on your website? If yes, that means you have maintained sufficient number of servers at the backend and you are still able to provide uninterrupted services to your users, and that's where you will be a winner. And a lot of customers are doing it. There are case studies which are available to you, which you can access, and these case studies are available on aws.amazon.com/case studies. You will find case studies. Our customers, they are very, very happy in sharing what are the interesting things they have done on AWS cloud platform. So the maximum high availability that you can get is 99.999%, which is equal to 5.25 minutes of downtime annually, which is still fine. 100% availability is like, oh, you are absolutely 100% there. Not even a single second downtime is there annually. But with all efforts, you can still have maximum 5.9 of availability. That's what this slide says. Very interesting story. I asked, so I'm sorry, I can't stop my laugh here. Immediately, an example came to my mind. I was conducting one of the class and I asked the same question which is there on the slide. And there was one guy who was like, no, Rohit, let me answer this question. And I was like, what happened? He definitely possesses something interesting which he is going to come up. My question was, what is a disaster? Please don't get offended with this example. I'm sharing a real case with you, and this has actually happened. And he says, Rohit, the biggest disaster is your wife. And I was like, it was so hilarious. Entire class started laughing. I was like, you guys are demons. You should not crack jokes when I'm teaching such a, I mean, technical thing. I'm talking about what is a disaster for something which is related to technology, and you are taking it in a different direction. So that happens. So don't come up with such kind of answers where you say, hey, disaster. I can tell you what is a disaster. Now, disaster, I think I have taken a couple of examples. There's a natural disaster that has happened, or there is a man who has created some problem, or there is a possibility that a component has failed in your data center. That can also be a disaster. I've taken an example where power was out for 6 to 7 days and data centers were shut down and they were running their business from disaster recovery side. That was also a disaster. There was a flood in Chennai. So these are the disaster. Before I talk about disaster and before I talk about the disaster recovery strategies which AWS recommends, let me give you some idea on some technical terms which AWS uses. Regions. AWS uses a technical term called region. Regions are geographical locations where AWS data centers are present. And currently we have 31 regions which are present worldwide. And AWS is continuously expanding their data centers in several different geographies of the world. So there are 31 regions which are available worldwide. In India also we have a region, Mumbai. And in Mumbai, you have data centers or group of data centers which are connected to each other by means of dark fibers, ultra low latency. These data centers or group of data centers present within the region are called as availability zone. So Mumbai is the region, and within Mumbai, there are 3 different availability zones which are available for customers. Customers, what they do is they are smart. They don't run their workload only in one availability zone. If you run all your workload in one availability zone, it will be a single point of failure. You want to install, let's say, 30 virtual machines for your customers, and you have created all the 30 virtual machine in one availability zone, in one data center or group of data center. And let's say that availability zone, which is data center or group of data center, is down. What will happen? All your 30 virtual machines are gone. Your customers are suffering. They are saying, hey, what happened? Application is completely stopped. And you are, sorry, sir, I just installed all the servers in one availability zone. There was a design flaw. I'm sorry. That's not recommended. Always design with high availability in mind. Make sure one server in one availability zone, second in second availability zone, and third one in third availability zone. At least if one availability zone fails, your remaining servers will be available. So availability zone is very, very important for high availability. So regions are geographical locations, and within every geographical location, you will find minimum 2 availability zones are there. There are more than 2 availability zones present in several regions. We have 31 regions as of now, and it's continuously growing. And we have 99 availability zones still today. And I explained you what availability zone is. Data center or group of data center, and these data centers, group of data centers are connected to each other by means of very fast speed networking dark fibers. Categories of disaster: natural disaster can be one category. Technical failure can be one category. I have already given you the example. Chennai was flood, no electricity, technical failure. Servers are fine, they can run, but you don't have the fuel to run them. No electricity, sorry. You have to shut down your data center and you have to start your DR site. That's what we did. And it can be human action. I have also given you the example of human action. Shared responsibility model. It's very, very important that we should understand that when we are running our workload or applications in AWS cloud, customer possesses some responsibility and AWS also possesses a lot of responsibility. AWS is responsible for ensuring that the regions, their availability zones, the edge locations where they are storing the data for users, caching locations, I would rather say, it is properly secure. It should not happen that any engineer who wants to visit the data center can use the card. Hey, I'm Amazonian, let me in, and you are there and you are playing with the customer data. That's not possible. You don't know what is the address of Amazon data centers, number one. And even if you know, you are not allowed. Only authorized person can access the data center. And there is a two-factor authentication always. Each and every step that you are doing is being audited. So Amazon is responsible for protecting their compute, their storage, their database, their networking, their global infrastructure, which Amazon possesses. It becomes their responsibility as a cloud provider to protect it. You are responsible for ensuring that your applications are running securely in AWS cloud, and they are also designed in such a way that in case if one component fails, the other component is still there to support your application being accessible to your customers or your users. So things like backup is your responsibility. You have to take the data backup. You cannot say, hey, I'm running my application in AWS cloud, I am secure, no problems, no disaster will happen, I trust AWS. You have to plan your backups. You have to plan your DR strategies, disaster recovery strategies. You have to decide what's your workload architecture, no single point of failure. And you also need to take care of change management. It should not happen that you are a bank and you says, hey, one of the engineer of the bank has accidentally opened the permission for everyone, and that's how the user data was accessible. No, you have to have a proper audit mechanism in place. There is a service called S3, simple storage service, and I conduct sessions at many places. And people says, Rohit, can you create a S3 bucket and can you please make it public? I want to just store one file in your S3 bucket to see if I can access your S3 bucket remotely. Yeah, it's doable. You can do that. But I normally say, sorry, this is a demo that I'm not going to do. I cannot declare my S3 bucket public. I will not allow it to become public even for a minute so that you can test to upload your file and see if you can put the data in my S3 bucket. Sorry, I can't do that. And most of the times the expressions that I get is, hey, come on, it's just a very small thing. Why you are not making your bucket public? The answer is very, very simple. I am afraid of love letters. I don't want to get any love letter. What is this love letter? The audit mechanism is, if you make your bucket public in S3, if you make your S3 bucket public, what will happen? It will immediately trigger a notification which goes to all the top shots of AWS, and they are immediately informed that Rohit Sharma has created a bucket and he has left that bucket public, and it creates a save to ticket. And then they write a mail, which is a love letter to my manager, and my manager passes that love letter to me. Rohit, what has happened? What's the business justification? Why you have done that? So there are some security mechanism which you can put in your, which you can put in place, saying that if someone has done a mistake, that mistake should immediately be reported. That is called as incident management. A incident has happened, incident should be immediately reported. So AWS is very strict in doing that. Now let us suppose People, they don't have a habit of reading mails. That's what I have seen in these 19 years. If you write someone a mail, don't expect a response. They'll keep on, they'll keep on, the mail will keep there in their outlook, and they will look at it maybe after 7 days or 10 days. So you cannot wait for that. Okay, someone will write a mail to Rohit's boss, and then Rohit boss will reach out to Rohit and, hey, can you fix it? No, that's very dangerous. The S3 bucket can have some business related information. So it's not only incident management, incident response should also be there. So the next auditing mechanism which is there is, the moment anyone in Amazon declares S3 bucket as public, it's reported to all the top shots, it's reported to their manager, and AWS config, there is a service called AWS config. It will immediately fix the permissions. It will make your bucket private again, so that no one should be able to access the data. So it's customer responsibility. You cannot say, I'm a bank, I just left my bucket open. Sorry, the data is someone has theft the data, or the data has gone to the wrong hand. Your planning was not proper. The audit mechanism that you had was not proper. The design that you have created was not proper. So customer responsibility is also there. Security in AWS cloud, data in AWS cloud, disaster recovery in AWS cloud, we need to understand is a shared responsibility. Amazon is doing its part. You also need to be very careful about ensuring that you are doing your part. High availability is not a disaster recovery. That's something which I have already told you. High availability is meant for small events which are happening. It is meant for ensuring that you should be able to provide uninterrupted services to your user in case if one or two components fail. Have a look at this design. In this design, there is a region. The outside white box that you see is a region. Think of it like Mumbai. And you have three availability zone: availability zone A, availability zone B, and availability zone C. That's the example that I took. Mumbai possesses three availability zones, and users, they try to access the solution or the services by hitting a load balancer. You can see the arrow which is coming from the top. Users are hitting the load balancers, and load balancers internal is forwarding your request to the web servers or the virtual machines that you have deployed here. Do I have high availability here? Have I spread my instances in three different availability zones? I think yes. There are three availability zones, and my instances, my web servers, are spread across three availability zones. What will happen if one availability zone fails? What will happen? Will you lose 50% of your servers, or will you lose 33% of your servers? 33 or 50? I think three availability zones is equal to 33% of your servers will be lost, which is still good. You still have majority of servers present in two availability zones, and that is able to bear the load coming from users. Users are bombarding your websites like anything. So that's a plan that you should have in mind. High availability always includes multi availability zone concepts. This is one of the example that I have shown here. Have a look at the bottom of this slide. There is a relational database service that they have used. For relational database, there is a primary database. The standby database is present in second availability zone, and there is a read replica which is present in third availability zone. If master or the primary database is gone, I will still be able to promote my standby as a new master. In case if both the availability zones are gone, I still have my read replica. I will be able to make my read replica a new master. So I have high availability of database. I have high availability of instances. I have high availability of NAT gateways. There are three different NAT gateways that are deployed. NAT gateways, instances which are present in that availability zones, in case if they have to download the patches, the fixes from internet, they will use NAT gateway. So three different NAT gateway. So high availability is very, very important. So night gateway high availability is there, instance high availability is there, and relational database high availability is also there. Do you have any single point of failure here in this design? Don't say S3. S3 is something which is Amazon responsibility. By design, it is highly available. So as a customer, you need not to do anything there. Don't say DynamoDB as well, because DynamoDB is also by design highly available. So when you use AWS services, you get benefit of lot of services which are AWS managed services. They are highly available by design. S3 is an example. DynamoDB is an example. That's the reason I have not shown two S3 buckets here or two DynamoDBs there. So that's Amazon responsibility. But whatever is my responsibility, NAT gateway is my responsibility, instance is my responsibility, relational database is my responsibility. For that, proper high availability is taken care of. Now, when it comes to availability zone, always think of that availability zones are data centers or group of data centers. Installing all your applications, configuring all your applications in one availability zone will be equal to single point of failure. That availability zone fails, your business is gone. The good practice is to use multiple availability zones within a region. In case if one availability zone fails, no problem. You still have lot of servers present running on other availability zone, and you will still be able to manage uninterrupted services to your user. And this is called as multi availability zone concept. Have a look at the slide. The slide says there are three availability zone. Availability zone 1, availability zone A, which is a data center or group of data center, availability zone B, which is a data center or a group of data center, and availability zone C, which is a data center or a group of data centers. What you were doing in your traditional days, I have got one data center which is primary, and I have got another data center where I'm replicating the services, which is my DR data center. If you are still in the traditional days, you can use one availability zone continuously to keep on replicating your data, and you will still be able to manage a disaster recovery across availability zones. However, this is not recommended from AWS. I'm giving you an explanation. If you still manage the disaster recovery in the same traditional way like you were managing earlier, in that case, you can think it like this. EBS, Elastic Block Store. When you create EC2s or when you create virtual machines in AWS, EBS are also part of your EC2. Every EC2 is connected to a block level storage, which is called as EBS volumes. Think of it like your storage. The problem with EBS, Elastic Block Storage, is the scope of Elastic Block Storage is a availability zone. So in case if I have created my EBS volume in availability zone A and that availability zone fails, you will lose your storage and your data gets stored in storage. You are running a VM, it consists of a storage attached to it. Availability zone A is gone, your storage is also gone. You will probably be able to create a new virtual machine, but from where you will bring your data? So ensure that you are regularly taking the snapshots of your EBS volumes. If you are taking snapshots of your EBS volumes, it will be easy for you. You will be able to sustain the availability zone failure. Any availability zone fails, you can recreate your EBS volumes or your data will be back and you can attach that EBS volume to the EC2s. So it's very important to understand what is the scope of a service. Then only you can do the right solutioning. DynamoDB. For DynamoDB, you can take point in time backups. Keep on adding and you can take point in time backups. S3. For S3, you can enable versioning. The benefit of versioning is, in case if someone has accidentally deleted a file from your S3 bucket, you will be able to bring it back. There is a TV show, I'm not getting the name of that TV show. I'm not a big fan of that TV show, but my wife definitely is a big fan of that TV show. Some mad people, they are put in a house, and then someone comes, Salman Khan comes, and then he keeps on talking to those people. Uh, Big Boss, yeah, Big Boss. My wife is a big fan of Big Boss, and I really hate that serial. I don't know why that serial is created. I'm sorry, I have my own likings or dislikings. And on top of it, what they do is they says, hey, we have got a person in Big Boss house, would you like to vote for him? And they keep on tracking how many votes have been given for a X person. And there are many shows which are doing the same thing. Someone is singing, please cast the votes. Someone is dancing, please cast the votes. DynamoDB is used in all these cases. DynamoDB is used in all these cases because there is a massive hit which is coming. So what you can do if you are using DynamoDB, you can take point in time backup, so that at any point of time you want to restore or you want to create a similar DynamoDB table, similar NoSQL table, you will be able to do it from the point in time backup that you have taken. So redundancy at every layer. When it comes to regions, ideally a disaster recovery is region. What will happen if a region fails? Let's say there is a flood in Mumbai, or let's say there is an earthquake in Mumbai, because of which all the three availability zones are down. Where is your business then? You spread your EC2s, servers, or components across three availability zones. But what if entire region is down? By the way, it has never happened in past, but what happens if an entire region is down? You all know very well what is going on in world nowadays. Every day Sam uncle is there, and every day Putin uncle is there, and they're saying, hey, I'm dropping bomb. The moment you open news channels, they're talking about a atom bomb or hydrogen bomb or nitrogen bomb. What will happen if there is a nuclear war? Can it take the entire region down? Yes, of course. We have seen what happens when wars are there. An entire country is down. So if a region is down because of natural disaster or because of the problems which man has created, how you will be able to run or sustain from such kind of disaster? Will you still say that, let me replicate my data, or let me spread my servers across three availability zones within a region and let me manage it? No. You have to have your disaster recovery site present in some other region. So now you need to think cross region. What's the challenge? The challenge is for those customers which says, hey, there is a regulatory requirement that data should not be existing outside of the country. Now, in this case, the cross region will not be possible. So it's a trade-off decision. You need to think of a trade-off decision. So when it comes to, can I have my DR site in other region? Of course, you can have a DR site in other region. You can have one region as active and second region as your passive one. That's what this slide is showing. One region fails, you will be able to still redirect your users to the passive region, and you will start servicing everything from the passive region. You can also have active. You can have active. Both the regions are active. 80% of the traffic goes to one region, 20% goes to another region. So regions can also be the DR site, active or as active passive. Both possibilities are there. Business continuity plan should definitely be there. And before you create your business continuity plan, make sure 4 factors you have taken care of. What will be the business impact when you will run your business continuity plan, or when you will design your business continuity plan? Have you done the risk assessment? What's your business continuity plan? If any disaster happens, how your business continuity plan is going to run, and in what step you are going to run the business continuity plan, and what's your DR solution? Are you going towards multi availability zone within a region, or are you going towards multi cloud solution, or are you going towards multi region solution? 3 possibilities can be there. recovery point objective and recovery time objective. This is something which I have already explained to you. How much data losses you can bear after a disaster. How much time you are going to take in order to bring your data back. That is also very, very important. RTO and RPO. If you want to have best RTO and RPO, you want to have minimum data losses, and you also want to use best time in order to recover your data. The investment is going to be high. Have a look at this. Now, this slide is the crux of this entire session. When it comes to what are the different models we have for disaster recovery in AWS, we have a model which is called as backup and restore. You can have a look. Backup and restore is there on my slide. What is backup and restore? You have region 1. You are continuously taking the backup of your data from region 1 and you are replicating it to region 2. Tomorrow, if the region 1 fails, you still have backup of all your data in region 2. In region 2, you can bring your EC2s or virtual machines back, start restoring the data, and your business will be back. That's a backup and restore model. Cost wise, it's the most cost effective model because you don't have anything running on region 2. You are just using the storage of region 2 to store your data. But when it comes to how much time you will take in order to restore your data, it is going to take a lot of time to restore your data. So your RTO and RPO is going to get impacted in backup and restore. Still, a lot of customers uses backup and restore because it is cost effective. Very good for SMBs, very good for startups where they can bear maybe some data loss, and they are also okay if the recovery is taking maybe some hours. Backup and restore. Pilot light. There is another model that we have which is called as pilot light model. In pilot light model, what you will do, you will replicate the most critical components to a second region. My database present in one region is possessing a copy in another region, maybe a read replica, or maybe I am continuously replicating the backups to another region. Pilot light. But my application servers, my web servers, and all the other components are not yet created. What is there? My database is only there. Tomorrow, if I need to switch over to my disaster recovery site in pilot light model, what I will do, I will use cloud formation templates to bring the infrastructure in second region, and my database is already there. So the time that will be taken in order to bring your business back is going to be less compared to backup and restore because you have cloud formation templates to deploy the infrastructure and your database is already there. So that's pilot light. The database in second region is not of the same size that you have in the primary region. So in primary region, you will have, let's say, a monster database or a monster VM. But in secondary region, you might be replicating it to a small size database, a smaller VM. What is the cost? Here you are paying a little cost because you are replicating your data to second region and your small size database is up and running. So cost is going to be a little high compared to backup and restore, but the recovery is also going to be quick compared to backup and restore. So this is second model. The third model is warm standby. Warm standby says that your application server, your web servers, and your database servers, a copy of them is already present in the secondary data center, but there is no user traffic that is there, that is being redirected to the second region. Be it backup and restore, be it pilot light, or be it warm standby. All these three models, they are under a acceptable recovery cost, and they are used a lot by AWS customers. In case if you are a big enterprise and you want to quickly recover your data and you want to quickly restore your data, then you will go towards paying a little bit high and follow a model which is active active, multi-site active active. Cost is going to be high, but the time taken to perform the recovery is also very quick, and the data loss is also going to be very less, because your primary region and your secondary region both have same size of servers, and the data is being continuously replicated between primary and secondary. At any point of time, if primary fails, you can cut over your users and redirect them to secondary. I have stopped sharing the screen. So don't worry what happened to the screen. This is something which is purposeful. I hope you got some idea on what is disaster recovery, and you also got some idea on what are the different models that you have from disaster recovery. Okay.
So
So
while you're managing that, Rohit, there's just a quick question.
yep.
So what will happen to the data if the company is winding up?
If the company is winding up, what will happen to the data? AWS accounts, you need to understand the charging. If your data is there in your AWS account, your credit cards will be charged. If the company is winding and you have decided to decommission your data centers, or you have decided to decommission your AWS account, make sure you delete your AWS account. And if you delete your AWS account, everything is gone.
That makes
So
sense.
your responsibility to delete everything. So folks, I would like to end here. I think we have 3 more minutes. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm more than happy to answer those questions. I hope you got an idea on what is disaster recovery, and I hope you also remember I have shown you there is a white paper available on AWS disaster recovery strategies. Please feel free, download the AWS white paper on disaster recovery strategies. Mamta, to answer your question again, sorry, I keep on coming back to you again and again. One
I
of
feel
the job
important by
role,
that. Thank you so much.
one of the job role which is there in the market is DR engineers, disaster recovery engineers, and they are even highly paid compared to a solution architect,
Mhm.
because DR is something which is heart of an enterprise.
That's perfect. So I think that answers the question. But we also have one more question from Madla. She is, I think, currently pursuing a cloud practitioner certification program and would love to know what are the kind of job roles that she would be eligible for once she's completed the certification.
So cloud practitioner certification is the basic certification, and it is meant for all those people which wants to become the cloud solution associate. Cloud solution associate are those people which are responsible for talking to customers, understanding what are the needs of customer and passing it to the team. So that can be one of the job which a CPE certified person can get. Once you have done your CPE, you can think of moving towards maybe system operations. If you want to troubleshoot customers issues, or if you want to do a lot of configuration for customers, system operations is the right certification. If you want to move towards architecting solutions, solution architect is the next certification you can move towards. And if you like programming, developing on AWS is the right one for you.
Great. And we have one more question from Hari Krishna Mondal. Please explain the difference between AWS S2 and S3.
S2 and S3, there is only S3, there is no S2.
Oh, is it? Okay, so I think he meant to ask what are the difference between two versions, the latest one and the one before that.
Yeah, so S3 is simple storage service. That's the reason it is called as S3. There are three S, and it's a object storage. And that was the first service which AWS launched in their cloud platform. And there is no S2, there is no S4 coming, by the way. It will always remain S3.
Absolutely. And one last question that we have is, how do I gain hands-on experience with AWS?
Brilliant question. Search for AWS workshops. You can create a AWS free tier account and try out AWS workshops. Nothing is better than AWS workshops. Second answer to that is AWS hands-on tutorials are also there, and you should think of AWS hands-on tutorials which are free. Don't go for the one which says $5 charge or $10 charge. You can still try those hands-on tutorials. In case if you are starting your journey and you are not that comfortable to try the hands-on or the workshops, there is a channel from AWS which is called as AWS Knowledge Center. It's a YouTube channel, AWS Knowledge Center. Search for any topic, let's say S3 plus AWS Knowledge Center. The AWS professional services team, they have recorded several demos for you. So far, approximately 274 recorded demos are available to you, and no demo is more than 9 minutes long. So that's the best way to first see how things are happening in AWS and then give it a try in your free tier account.
Amazing. I hope that answers the question there. However, like in the interest of time, I think, it would be great if we can email the remaining questions to you, Rohit, and if you'd be kind enough to answer them, and we would possibly forward them to anybody who has even sent those questions to us. So thank you so much, Rohit, that this was an amazing session. The examples that you have shared made things so much easier to understand, even though you started by saying that this is a technical session, it did not even seem like that. I'm sure the session will boost, the confidence of the audience to consider AWS as a career option. So thank you so much for sharing this knowledge and helping our audience learn more about this exciting career option of AWS. So thank you once again, Rohit, for joining.
Thanks for attending this session, and AWS is the future. So if you get any opportunity, feel free. Go for CP or other certifications that you have. All the best.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And you can exit the webinar now while we continue on with the marathon of sessions.
Sure, I'll do that.
Thank you so much. Have a great evening.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.